Welcome back. As you know, I'm Eli, the computer guy, here for the Daily Blub, where I'm excited to say the in-person classes for Silicon Dojo are going to be starting in Durham in the next few weeks. I went to American Underground a couple of days ago. I solidified the agreement with them to be able to use a classroom there that can support up to 35 students. Afterwards, I went to an All Things Open meetup where the main guy there actually had me go up in front of hundreds of people to talk about Silicon Dojo. There was a lot of excitement there. So hopefully, Silicon Dojo will be successful in Durham. Authorityless, gatekeeperless, free to end user, hands-on technology education that empowers you to do whatever the hell it is that you want to do. Stay alert. Go to silicondojo.com because I'm excited. I get to start doing the work again that I really care about. So that's why I came here today, just to explain to you what's going on, why I will not be doing any more of these commentary videos, and how excited I am to be doing something important for the world. What's that? Nobody actually pays me for the shit that's important for the world. I only get paid for commentary shit. So you're telling me I've got to just sit here and shake my brain nipples continuously so that I can take the money from here to pay for that. Apparently that's how capitalism works. You do the things that people want, so they pay you, so that you can then take that money to do the things that you think are important. So I'm just gonna be stuck here shaking my brain nipples for infinitum. Is that how it works? Anyways, I guess that's how it works in our capitalist system. Anywho, on that note, let's take a moment to talk about Jimmy Kimmel. Jimmy Kimmel apparently has been officially canceled because he decided to say some stupid crap on air. I do think this is an interesting story, again, when we start talking about things like capitalism, content creation, and all of that kind of stuff, and how weird the mainstream media has gotten over the years. As I've talked about before, I used to be progressive. I believe, in my heart of hearts, BLSM, Black lives should matter. I believe we should be nicer to black people. I believe that if you have a beard and a dress, somebody should not be able to felony batter you just because they don't like what you're wearing. But anyways, I'm one of these people that's believed that kind of stuff for a long time. And the weird thing that I found is that the progressives left me behind. Like, I was on the progressive bus. It was like one of those buses, going through Cambodia somewhere, and then we had to stop. And then I finally got into the toilet, and I feel like I got locked in the toilet, and by the time I got out of the toilet, my bus had left. All the progressives had continued on, and I was stuck. In a gas station in the middle of Cambodia. It is a very, very weird thing. And I think about this with, like I say, the progressive cause, the right side of history thing. Whereas being curious over the years, remembering back to the Bush era. So in the Bush era, Democrats still argued, right? The people on the right side of history still argued their point, right? There's the idea, there's multiple arguments. You've got to go in there, you've got to argue, you've got to debate, you've got to win people over to your side. The weird thing that happened when Obama got elected is essentially the left side of our country decided they no longer had to talk to anybody anymore. They no longer had to argue. They no longer had to debate, right? As Obama himself said, the Nobel Peace Prize winner said, elections have consequences. Yeah, that's his actual quote. I remember that quote. I remember the day he said that stupid shit. And I was like, boy, that's some stupid shit you're saying right now. Anyways, right? Remember when Obama said, elections have consequences. And I feel like at that point in time, right, the Democrats and the left-leaning folks in the country were done with their arguments. They had won the argument. Obama had been elected, and they did not need to waste their time anymore with the deplorables. You either understand what is good and right and all that kind of stuff, or you are a deplorable. Remember that with Obama? Obama came out and said, there's a large section of the country that are clinging to their guns and Bibles. Do you remember that? Do you remember when the Nobel Peace Prize winner came out and castigated American citizens for clinging to their constitutional rights? Think about that for a second. Right now, again, I'm not a Christian. I am not a Christian. We're not going to get into it because I piss off a lot of people when I talk about it. I'm not a Christian. Nor am I a gun-loving fanatic, right? A gun is a tool. A hammer is a tool. A gun is a tool, right? But here's the thing. In the United States, these are, in fact, constitutional rights. Whether it was wise for them to be constitutional rights is its own question, not going into here, but they are constitutional rights. And the President of the United States is supposed to uphold the Constitution. And the Nobel Peace Prize winning president literally castigated American people for clinging to their constitutional rights that he did not prefer. But of course, when he doesn't prefer it, he's allowed not to prefer it because of reasons. But anyways, what's been interesting, again, since the end of Bush, right? This isn't even the beginning of Trump. This is after Bush, is how the media and the left have continuously gone in a certain direction. I've talked about this before with NPR, National Public Radio. I used to listen to NPR every day. I listened to it in the morning, I listened to it at night. My father, again, is an engineer. I grew up listening to National Public Radio, and I listened to National Public Radio damn near every day from when I was like 8 years old or whatever, all the way into my 30s. And you know what got me to stop listening to National Public Radio? It was when it all went in a certain direction. And not only did it all go in a certain direction, but then they started castigating people that did not agree with their direction. One of the things that I've talked about this for years at this point, when I left NPR, stopped listening to NPR, is they would bring on conservative people. They would bring on people that they disagreed with, which is good. Right, which is good. But then when they brought those people on, I would hear time and time and time again where basically the host would browbeat the ever-loving crap out of the guest that they had invited on their show. Right? So again, so you get the left wing, the liberal on there, and then you get the conservative on there. It's like, okay, let's listen to this discussion. Well, no, they would bring the conservative on there, and then they would just browbeat the crap out of the conservative. And now here's the thing, right? If it had just been completely liberal, if it was just like, look, we're gonna have a liberal commentator and we're gonna have liberal guests, I think that would be boring. To be honest with you, that would be boring, but it is what it is. But they were actually inviting these people onto the show to simply give them moral and ethical lessons on the show. And that's one of the reasons I stopped listening to National Public Radio. It just got to be tiring. It just got to be tiring. People grandstanding on their moral high horses, that have never proven to me why I should care about their particular morals or ethics, sitting there and browbeating the ever-loving crap out of their guests on the show. And we've seen this more and more and more, basically, as time has gone on. And so what's interesting now is we're starting to see a massive pushback to this, right? Society is a pendulum. Society is a pendulum. There's this idea that we are going in a direction. Yes, we are going in that direction until we start going in that direction again, until we start going in that direction again, until we start going in that direction again. So now we're seeing a lot of massive pushback against, and I don't even know if it's a liberal media. It's whatever currently this media is, because as a Nobel Peace Prize winning president once said, elections have consequences. And the current person that is in office did win by like 2%. It was like 52% to 48%. Now, to be clear, he did go against the worst candidates in history. We literally had our first dead president, and you can't make up that debate. I listened to that debate. That debate was so bad. You would think that debate had been like made up by artificial intelligence so that Americans lost faith in our democratic system. If If you told me that, I would feel better about the situation. But no, that was the actual debate. No, that was actually two human beings up there. Or, well, one human being and one corpse. Anyways, and then after that, they took the diversity hire, right? Kamala Harris, that, again, she basically dropped out pretty damn quick in the initial presidential election for 2024, and then seems to be the person that just went along with whatever the hell Biden told her to do. So she got put into the dead president's place, and she got thumped. Now, but here's the thing. She got thumped. She got thumped because people didn't want that crap. And we are in a democratic system where, wait for it, elections have consequences. And I think about all this kind of stuff too, because I think about my aunt, right? So my family, we have folks from PhDs all the way down to truck drivers. And the thing is, so for me, I don't really look at PhDs or truck drivers or anybody in between much different. Right? They get different benefits. They have different retirement plans and healthcare plans. But basically, as people, they're just fucking people. And one of the things I always remember, right? I was visiting my aunt. You know, we do the Thanksgiving holiday, and they're in the middle of Indiana. And so my aunt and my uncle, they have a piece of property in the middle of Indiana. They have a small property. They only own 75 acres. They have the smallest property around. Literally, when you go out onto their porch and you look at the next house, because you can't look at the next house because it's fucking fields as far as the eye can see. That next house, God, it must be like half a mile away. Now, that's not a joke. Like, So you can see it. You're like, wow. I'd hate to have to run to that house. You realize why kids used to be in better shape. Because when they had to run home to mom, they might have had to run a long way. But anyways, you go out there and, Bible Belt country and all that kind of stuff. And I remember about 15 years ago, she was sitting there, she was talking about it. She was talking about how frustrated she was. And she said, why is it that everybody seems to forget that half of this country is rural? Half of this country has our belief systems, more or less, horseshoes and hand grenades, right? And yet, when you look at the media, it is almost never portrayed. Again, think about this. I talk about this with NPR, right? It was interesting traveling around the country. And as you travel around the country, and one of the things with NPR, like I used to live in Baltimore. I lived in Baltimore for a long time. So you listen to NPR when you live in Baltimore, and it seems pretty normal. But here's a curious thing about NPR, right? Their main offices are in Washington, D.C. and L.A. When you start traveling around the country, we are a country that's 3,000 miles by 2,000 miles and have overseas territories, right? We are an empire. We're not really a country, we're an empire. And yet, when you listen to National Public Radio, all or 95% of their stories are either about what's going on in Washington, D.C. or what's going on in L.A. Like, they are literally the European stereotype of what the United States is. There's DC and LA, and damn near nothing else in between. Right? And it's curious to think about that, and then to see, again, the mainstream media, and so many of these media sources, essentially ignoring half the population and assuming that they are right. They don't have to argue. They don't have to discuss. They don't have to debate. They are right. Anybody else is deplorable. And that's, I think, where we get to the issue with Jimmy Kimmel. All right, so Jimmy Kimmel has now officially been canceled. He is on indefinite hiatus, which basically means he's probably going off to the comedy farm in upstate New York. Right? And one of the curious things with him, again, it comes back to that whole Charlie Kirk thing. So Charlie Kirk is, that Christian right-wing youth influencer, right? And he goes out there and he speaks and he tries to argue, or he tried to argue people to his point of view. Now, it's not my point of view, right? It's hyper-Christian, it's gun-loving, right? Hey, the gun rights are so important in this country. If a few people have to die every year, that is the cost of those rights. I mean, it's a little bit more than a few. It's 22,000. But Anyways, right? I don't agree with him in any way, but he was out there and he was speaking his point of view, and he was assassinated, right? He was politically assassinated. Somebody literally killed him for his speech, right? This was not that Charlie Kirk was boning somebody else's wife. This is not that Charlie Kirk had fraudulently swindled money from somebody and they're taking their retribution. This is not that Charlie Kirk stole the parking spot that this person deserved. They got shot. No. He was literally assassinated. He was killed for political speech. And this should be bad. This should just be bad. Everybody should agree this is bad. Don't promote this. Don't say how this is a good thing. Don't say, just say it's bad. But the weird part that we have, again, because we have this weird thing going on in our culture, our society, is we have so many people basically supporting the assassination of a political figure. And of course, we are now in Trump's America, and Trump does not like this a whole lot. And so the people that are celebrating the assassination of a political figure, folks are going after them. And it's interesting with Jimmy Kimmel. So Jimmy Kimmel, and I've seen the full clip, was doing his spiel and basically was trying to say that Charlie Kirk was killed by a MAGA supporter. So this is a MAGA person that killed Charlie Kirk. Now, as far as I can tell, the guy was dating a transgender person and really hated Charlie Kirk. And I don't really think he was a MAGA person. But it's this curious thing that Jimmy Kimmel comes out and says this is a MAGA person that killed Jimmy Kimmel, or that killed Charlie Kirk. Ergo, what do you expect? Right? And so all of this is blown up. The curious thing is a number of the regional broadcasters. So ABC, so Jimmy Kimmel's on ABC, so they have regional broadcasters, Sinclair Media, I think a couple of others, basically said, we don't want to carry Jimmy Kimmel anymore. Right? Look, there was a political assassination. Jimmy Kimmel is trying to blame this crap like that this person is actually MAGA, right? Hey, we have viewers. We have viewers that come from places other than Washington, D.C. and L.A., and we don't want to carry this crap anymore. So they said they didn't want to carry this crap, and that's when ABC decided to pull Jimmy Kimmel, and we'll see what happens to Jimmy Kimmel. And I think the curious thing to be thinking about here, again, is that whole question of what exactly are you doing, and who exactly do you think that you're talking to? Right? That's the weird thing about something like Jimmy Kimmel. I remember Johnny, what's his name? I remember David Letterman. I remember Johnny. Here's Johnny, he said. Oh, in his special way. Here's Johnny, he said. You know I love him. Anyways, the other guy, right? I remember Jay Leno and all these people. And they used to speak to the American public, right? The idea is how do you get the most people coming in to consume your content, right? So that's why you bring in music stars, that's why you bring in movie stars and television stars, and you have all this fluff, because at the end of a long day, somebody's awake at 11 o'clock at night, they're just trying to flip through, find something to watch, and it's like, hey, look, here's some fluff. Here's some fluff with a crap ton of advertisements dumped on top. Let's watch this. But what you've seen with Jimmy Kimmel, what you saw with Colbert, is they've gone more and more. They are not providing a product or service to try to get to the widest audience. They are using a platform to promulgate their particular political viewpoint on the world. And I don't think it should come as any shock when that stops being less and less successful and stops being less and less accepted. All right? So I don't know. I'll be curious to see where this whole Jimmy Kimmel thing goes. Saw the whole clip, but Right, I haven't seen Jimmy Kimmel. One of the interesting things, especially with these late night people, is they don't seem to be trying to bring new folks in. I mean, you think about that with social media. Social media, there's Netflix, or there's a Twitter, and there's TikTok, and there's YouTube, and all that. One of the curious things that I find with a lot of these late night people is they don't seem to be trying to bring new people in. Right, the only time I know about Jimmy Kimmel or Stephen Colbert anymore is, you know, when they do something asininely stupid and then the clips get shared, you know, in the news stream or whatever else. You don't actually see them putting things out into the world that seems to be trying to bring new people in. Right? They're trying to mine, you know, suck out the value of whoever they have. And I'm curious to see how that will go going into the future. Right? They talk about that with Greg Gutfield or whatever. Anyways, there's that Fox commentary guy. He apparently is now the most popular late night host because he's actually saying the types of things that people want to hear. So I don't know. It'll be curious going forward. Because like with this whole Jimmy Kimmel thing, like when you look at it, right, there's this idea, this is it's a blow to free speech. But again, ABC is a business, right? They sell advertising. Remember the Sleeping Giants? Like, that's always weird, right? When the right side of history does things, it's good and pure, right? And when the wrong side of history does it, it's evil and fascistic, right? Remember the Sleeping Giants? The Sleeping Giants, that was a Twitter group. Right? They would see people on the wrong side of history doing things, and then they would purposely try to get them fired. Remember when they were taking pictures of people, and they were trying to figure out where those people worked, and then they were intentionally going after the employers of those people to get them fired? Remember how somebody said that was a really, really bad fucking idea? Because, you know, that's just a concept. Anybody can repeat that concept. Right? Why is canceling somebody on the wrong side of history good, but canceling somebody on the right side of history bad? Isn't it just canceling? Isn't it just people using the power of the purse and public relations, just simply trying to silence the other side? I don't know. Some things to ponder, some things to think about. Like, I think about that with Megyn Kelly. Remember that with Megyn Kelly? You talk about a comment I still don't understand. So Megyn Kelly, she'd been a Fox News host. She had gone toe-to-toe with Trump. She had actually gone toe-to-toe with Trump. Anyway, she was a Fox News host, and then she went over to like Good Morning America or something. Got over to Good Morning America. One of these stupid-ass morning shows. Anyway, so she's there, and it's coming up on Halloween. And they start talking about blackface. Anyways, and I don't know. Megyn Kelly just made this comment about she didn't see like why, like, if somebody tried to, you know, did the whole blackface thing for Halloween, why that was bad. That was about the long and short of it. The clip for Megyn Kelly was about as long as the clip for Jimmy Kimmel is. Maybe slightly longer because there was actually some back and forth there, but it's really fucking short, right? That got Megyn Kelly canceled. Right? Basically, her career was supposed to be over simply because she questioned blackface at Halloween. Right? If somebody wanted to, you know, dress up as Denzel Washington. If I really love Denzel Washington, can I dress up as Denzel Washington for Halloween? Right? And simply bringing that up was so horrific. They tried to destroy her career. That's one of the reasons she's now on YouTube. Right? But that was considered good. Because the right side of history was showing that white, blonde, bitchy woman what her place is. That's good. Jimmy Kimmel getting canceled. That is an assault on our freedoms. I would ask us all to stop. Can we get back to actually making the world a better place? right? As I say, in Durham in a couple weeks, we're going to be doing an introduction to LLMs using Olama, where I'm going to walk people how to actually build an AI platform type solution using the Olama AI framework to actually empower people and make people better, be able to do more, right? Isn't that the fundamental thing we're supposed to be doing here in this country? I don't know. So what do you think about this? What do you think about Jimmy Kimmel being canceled? What do you think about contrasting Jimmy Kimmel being canceled from Megyn Kelly being canceled? Why is one good and one bad for a possibly stupid comment? Right? What do you think about the mainstream media? So many people in the mainstream media, again, hyper focusing on this worldview that many of us, again, even the people that think we should be nicer to black people in the whole 9 yards, is just like, is this really where you want to go with this crap? And what do you think about so many people in the mainstream media not really seeming to care about return on investment? They don't really seem, they want to make sure that they get their paychecks, but they don't really seem to care whether or not the company that's paying them is actually successful. I don't know. Put your thoughts down below. Give us a thumbs up. Give us a thumbs down. Call me amazing. Call me a moron. Just be a real alpha dog and do it down there in the comment section. SiliconDojo.com is alive. So we are doing classes, like I say, in Durham. They're going to be coming up in the next couple of weeks. We're going to start them there. We do fireside chats on the website and in Asheville, North Carolina. We should be having classes coming soon. Again, authoritas, gatekeeperless, free and easier, hands-on technology education to empower you to do whatever the hell it is that you want to do in life. We are going to have those classes. So if you want to join up at SiliconDojo.com. It's free to join, and then you're on the newsletter and all that kind of stuff. And with that, see y'all later.